Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of Holistic Conversations. I'm your host, Brittany. And if you are someone that's into personal development, then you're in the right place. So each and every Monday, I bring on different guests to help you become the best version of yourself. And today I have someone very special in store. I have a dear friend of mine. She go by the name Akiyla McQueen. Well, that's her name, first of all. But Akiyla McQueen, she's there's so many things I resonate with her on, and that's why we connected and became friends, and even building a sisterhood. She's a devoted vegan. She's a homeschooler. She's been homeschooling for 13 years, okay? So her children haven't went to public school, so I believe that's very phenomenal. And above all of that, Akiyla is someone that can help you find a deeper connection with yourself through her retreats she hosts. Not only does she host retreats to help you gain a deeper connection with yourself, if you're someone that's into, wanting to try mushrooms or any plant medicine, she got you on that too, all right? So Akiyla is phenomenal at all things. I mean, literally, she's certifying people to become raw vegan chefs. Raw vegan chefs. What else we talking about, Akiyla? Help me out here.
Coaches, sound healers.
Yes. So if you want to build that deeper connection with yourself, definitely check out Akiyla. And I'm so excited to just dive into her journey. And the first thing I want to start off with is the idea of spirituality, right? Sometimes it can get looked at different ways. From a Christian perspective, spirituality can be, oh, you believe in rocks, right? Or, it's this mystical thing. Maybe there's association with tarot card reading to spirituality and these other phenomenons. But how do you define spirituality?
I would say spirituality is like allowing your connection to the divine, or whatever you want to call it, to inform its place in your life. Whereas religion is kind of already structured and organized as to how you should form your life with God. It's experiencing God and experiencing this movement in your life and and then allowing those things to inform you. And from that's how you kind of like start to make changes and shifts in how you want to connect, how you want to receive, how you want to transmit. But it's more so from the guidance of that relationship rather than the guidance of somebody else's experience.
So what I hear you saying is basically you're developing a practice for yourself to operate at your highest through the guidance of something powerful, intelligent, right? And you're saying that the religion is more of an order, it's something that's already structured.
Yeah.
And sometimes with religion, it can hinder you, it can block you from actually becoming the best version of yourself because there are rules and regulations, right? And guidelines that you have to follow, right?
Yeah. And it's like you could be spiritual and have a religion, Like spirituality is the relationship, because anybody can say like, I'm this religion, but is your relationship authentic and true to what it is that this connection that we're talking about is, or is it just through what the words say, It's more so like you have the knowledge of it, but you don't have the embodiment of it. So I would say spirituality comes into the aspect of being embodied. And I feel like along this walk, I've met so many people who are embodied, but claim a specific religion as like a blueprint, but they're open and they know that there's many different ways to communicate and engage with the great divine, the universe, and that's just one way that opened them up. But it's not like the only way, or like you condemning others for not having those same, principles. But if we look at all of the world religions and many of different spiritual systems, we see that there's a universal truth. And a lot of things have a lot of similarities, and that similarities I think is like where spirituality comes in.
That's a good point, because there are certain fundamental things in every religion that make sense.
Yeah.
So can you break some of those down for us?
Yeah, like if in Christianity and even in Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, they all speak to like living righteously, to be of service to the world, to be kind, to purify your vessel. And you see that in spirituality as well. That's like a universal truth. The way that you live your life has a direct impact to how you internally feel, not even just your external world, because you can have all the riches in the world, all the material gains, but like your soul could be very hungry and thirsty for fulfillment of true connection. And so that comes from really purifying yourself and doing good deeds, being kind, and not out of to receive something, but like in genuineness of the action of it all. So that's one of the things I can see that's like very similar across universal truths is like to live the path of the righteous, to live the path of the enlightened, to become aware of who you are, to become more conscious of universal capacity. Like we're all in this together, the integral whole, and to come in alignment with light, is another universal principle.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's very, because sometimes we get so stuck into the society and the pressures of life, right? So how does one start the journey to awakening their spirituality? Like, what would you say is that first step?
I would say probably just the wanting. It's a yearning that comes first, yes.
Let's break that down though, because sometimes we can, it's kind of like when you eat food and you know this food isn't good for you, but the symptoms that your body show you, you still eat it and it becomes normal.
Yes.
So what are some of those wanting, the callings that people are getting that they can identify, like, wow, actually it's been calling me for 2 years now. And I just been skipping over the signs. So what are some of those ways to identify that it's calling you, it's wanting you?
You'll feel this pressure of being put up against the wall. And I think it's different for everybody. Nobody has like the exact same feelings, but some similarities is like, it also depends on how you come into it. Because some people come into it in their bliss, but most people come into it from the suffering and pain. It's that moment when you break and you're having this existential crisis, like, why is this happening to me? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of it all? And like those existential questions really kind of start making you feel like you start attracting the reasons why. You start getting the flashes of like where the signs have been all along, and you just come have like that thirst. And when you get that thirst, that hunger, like spirit moves in that, like can speak to you in that, that shit, that pressure really comes on in life, and it's like you start being like, well, what the heck is this for? And why this and why that and why these same things keep popping up, why these lessons keep popping up, and you start to realize like, oh, something is trying to speak to me, something is trying to show me something, and I've been missing it.
Wow. And that's where that first word come in, that why. But it's asking the empowering questions. So not why is this happening to me, and like negativity, like, oh man, like life keep happening and I don't know why. But there is a reason. But when you ask those powerful questions of like, what do I need to learn from this? What is God trying to show me? Or what is the universe trying to show me? Or how can I become better out of the situation? Then now you're gravitating the right answers, and it's kind of like exploring.
Exactly.
Right now you're just like in the you're in a fall in love with the idea of learning and the joy of exploring the idea of like, wait, why is this happening to me? And then when you get the answer, then you're gonna then you start reflecting. Oh wow, so that's happened. And I didn't pay attention to those signs. So now I have the ability to kind of reflect and recognize that it's in me. It's been in me this whole time.
All time. Yeah. And everybody has like a very unique journey. I know for me on my journey, it came through the fact that I have very strong dreams that are very prophetic. A lot of them come to pass, or they teach me messages and lessons and different things like that. And then having like very unique experiences since I was a childhood, encountering energies and spirit and just ways and seeing miracles take place, that it's like you could look back and be like, wow, it's been there all along. Something's been guiding me. Something's been moving me. Something's giving me this nudge and this push, whether I was having full acknowledgement or not. Like I'm, dang, that's why I didn't go there that time. That's why I got that feeling to not answer the phone or to do this, that, and the third. And it's like, well, what is that energy that's moving in my life, And then it mixed with some type of the existential crisis, all those things kind of create this concoction of an awakening.
Yeah.
Okay,
so we got that first stage down for, awakening, or the stages of awakening is to ask questions,
yes.
Right? What would you say is the second step?
Once you start asking questions, you start receiving answers. And through those answers, you start to feel, you hear a lot of people say, like, is that in alignment with me? Does that resonate with me? It's really trying to see what fits in your inner structures and what doesn't. But also, there's a recalibration process, which many people go through ego deaths through that recalibration process.
Wait, now that sounds hard.
It is
I gotta
hard.
die.
It's painful.
Part of me gotta die.
Identities
Wow.
of us have to die to really get to the whole scope of us. Because a lot of us, many of us, all of us, carrying illusionary aspects of ourselves, projections from other people. Environmental pressures, lack of nurturance, neglect, abandonment, rejection, all different things that our ego has attached itself to and said, okay, this is me. I have to be this way because of these lived experiences.
It's like you still running from the bear. And the bear is not even around no more.
The bear ain't even there no more, right? And then you come to the realization like, wow, so all these things that I was holding on as truth are really illusion. And so when you get to that space, like things shatter. And I feel like once you get to those questions and start getting some answers, you go through a shattering process, and that's really for the rebuild, But in that shattering process, some people call it dark night of the soul, it's painful. Scary sometimes for people too, because it's like, dang, if I'm not that, then who am I? That transient period is like kind of a feeling of void. Because we don't realize how much we're attached. Just as we're attached to material things, we're attached to identities of ourselves.
Yes.
And letting go who we thought we were can be a painful process.
That's I feel like that right there is the most challenging part of the whole journey to becoming the best version of yourself. Ooh, because I remember I had friends call me like, yeah, Brittany, like it's happening. Like when you was doing this 5 years ago, I see why you were asking those questions. So for somebody going through that phase, like you say, it's going to be a void and they're going to feel alone.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so what would be some advice you can give someone going through that? Because that's the most challenging part right there.
It is.
The realization that the life you've been living ain't really the life
you're supposed to be living right.
So so what's one piece of advice? And obviously, one thing I would say is I would recommend getting a coach. And that's why we have women like you, right? To help people and guide them through that spiritual awakening. So what's another piece of advice?
I would say develop virtues of patience, compassion, and grace, and to put yourself in environments that nurture your soul's soil. So like spaces that has sacred music, places that are inviting and welcoming, that do, meditation, yoga, dance, movement, things that allow you to still feel alive and free. That give you the feeling of flow, because if you in the dark night of the soul or going through that shattering and you in resistance, you shut down, everything gets very tight, you feel like closed in, anxiety starts to, arise, and you got to release all that pent up energy, and just be in the dance of life, and that's something you could do with or without other people, you know what I'm saying? But just allowing yourself some time to just be in the flow, because what flow brings in is the art of surrender, right? And we need to surrender to this process, because the more we resist it, you know, the old cliche, the more it will persist, the harder it will feel, the longer it will be. And trust that you have the mental fortitude to withstand this recalibration. You know, most of us do, all of us do. It's just the fact that we think we don't. We don't like the feeling of not being in control. We don't like the feeling of letting go. And though all of those things is what makes the process a lot longer and a lot harder. But when we like, all right, whatever's happening, I just, you know what I'm saying, just let it go, right? And having that supreme trust, then you get to the other side and trust that it's all temporary. You know, that dark part is temporary.
Yes, that's the biggest thing, the temporary, creating the environment, creating your space. And it, you know, what triggered in my mind when you were talking, it reminded me of, I was doing a course for integrative medicine, and they were describing the hospital, right? And typically when someone is passing away, I mean, the environment of the hospital isn't conducive for life, right? We got the white walls, the food they're eating, there's no sunlight, little window. So we need to make sure we're incorporating things in our environment that speaks of life. Making sure we have plants, making sure we're going out in the sun. And those things could help alleviate the darkness because, you know, you got some light in you still.
Exactly.
Yes.
100%.
Wow, that's beautiful. So let's backtrack because how did you get here?
Man, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
For real. It's really been a journey. I just had a lot of different types of support along the way. And I also have a very strong will and conviction. If I had nothing else, I had that. Even if I didn't have confidence, I'm like, conviction and will has been my superpower. No matter what has happened in life, I've always found a way to find the bright side and to keep it moving. Self-preservation is a big thing. I give a lot of homage to my mom because she raised me to know myself as a woman, as a melanated being as well. And I didn't really have to go through a lot of deprogramming like certain people that other people may have, you know, living in this type of society. I didn't have to question like whether I'm worthy or not as a melanated being. It was like drilled in me. Like my mom was kind of militant growing up, you know. And like through those teachings, like I'd be the student in school that's like, you know, telling the teacher about the miseducation. You know, because I always had double education. What I learned in school and what my mom was going to teach me the truth, you know. And she's like, even if it's like only one black kid in the class, you make sure they know our true history. And so that kind of always made me be different, you know. And then my mom raised us to be vegan vegetarian. So that was another thing that was different. We had locks and stuff. I did go through a period of perming my hair because I was like, what is this, Mom? Like, we so different from everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I still went through the process of like, you know, trying to be like everybody else. And so doing that, you know, took me in all different types of directions and put me in environments that challenged who I was showing up as.
Right.
And those...
At what age were you perming your hair?
When I permed my hair,
Yeah.
I was in the 7th grade.
Okay.
So like about 13, you know, and then I chopped my permed hair off at 19.
So that means you had to cut your locks off too. Did you cut them off?
We combed them out.
Okay.
My aunt combed them out. And then I guess not too long after that, maybe like a couple years later, I permed my hair. And then I'd had that for about 6 years before I cut it all off and had an afro.
So that sounds like that awakening.
Yes,
moment.
I went through a huge awakening.
A reawakening. You was already woke and then you went back. So
you know, and it's interesting because when you're a parent and you have children, you can show them the way through your lifestyle, but their awakening is still going to come through their own embodiment and experience. So I don't even feel like my children, they're awakened because they are knowing certain things in our lifestyle, but like their consciousness, that's a journey of their own. I could only show them certain things, but it's really like the light has to be clicked in you for all of us, you know? So it's like, it didn't matter. My mom showed me all those things. That light had to be ignited within as my choice, not as an imposition of her as my guardian. You know what I'm saying? And so that's when, like, you know, you see certain people that have certain religions and they don't all the way follow, but they grew up in the church, you know? It's because, yes, that's great to have that guidance, but they got to choose themselves, you know, that path. And so I didn't choose the path myself until I was 19 years old. And that came after losing myself. I lost all of who I thought I was. You know, a relationship really challenged me. I was stripping all these different things about myself that I thought was me because it made them uncomfortable. And then I was left with my facade was gone. And also now I had all these other things that this person, you know, through this relationship that I took on. And I'm like, who am I? Like, what am I here to do? And why did this happen? What about me called this into my life? Why would I experience this? You know, like those questions really made me be like, what's going on here? Like,
Yes.
And that really sparked my spiritual journey because I started singing, and through singing, I started feeling the presence of spirit. And it made me want to know about what is this God thing, because I didn't grow up knowing that, you know.
So were you taught of a higher intelligence or anything like that, or no?
Not really.
Okay.
In my household, we grew. For the first few years of my life, I was Muslim, and then the rest of that was non-religious. My mom, she might gonna watch this and she'll be like, Key. I'm like, but to everybody else, she was atheist. You know what I'm saying? She was just like, I believe in science, but I have a deeper understanding of what she means now, you know. But she didn't believe in like God, you know, as a sky daddy or something like that, you know. And so I didn't have that in the household of really having a relationship with a higher intelligence. But my mom did say that when I was old enough, I would make my decision on what spiritual path I wanted to take.
You know what? We gotta give a shout out to your mom.
You too. We do.
know,
Shout out to you, Mom. I love you.
shout out to you, because it takes a lot for a parent to set aside their beliefs and allow the child to explore on their own.
Yes.
Without judgment. It's like, I'm going to just let you go through this because I know where you're going to end up. Yeah. But you got to go through your own personal process to figure it out for yourself. Because no matter, as the parent, no matter how much you care as the parent, you have to take your hands off the wheel.
Yes.
And your child is going to grow up.
Yep.
And the best thing you can be for them is just to support them through all of their different phases.
Exactly. She challenged me and she supported me.
Okay.
You know, when I thought I wanted to be Christian, she challenged me. She came with all the questions. If you're going to be this, then you need to be able to, what about this? What do you think about that? You know, and I appreciate her because she helped me to really cultivate that mindset of like, don't just take things for face value, really dive deeper, you know. And that was a part of my walk and my journey anyway, was to be somebody that dives deep into the mysteries, you know. So where I might have been mad at her growing up, like, Mom, you doing the most, you know, I appreciate it in my, you know, as I'm older, because I'm like, I needed that push to say like, nah, like, dig deeper. It's more, you know.
So how deep do you go?
I go deep.
Seriously, because in spirituality, man, I feel like you can keep going down and down, and there's always more. It gets deeper and deeper. But how deep does your journey go? Like, to what depth? Right? Because now when we talk about spirituality, we're not just talking about this physical plane. We're talking about
other dimensions,
other spirits,
yes.
You know. So I know you talked about your dreams and how that played an important part in your life. So let's talk about that, because, you know, we all have dreams.
Right.
And we need to know, because it's an interesting thing that I thought, like, are dreams real? What do you think about that?
From my experience, they are. You know, I do know that there's people who have dreams that are more relational. It's kind of like just showing them from what they're doing in their day-to-day, you know. But for my experience and many people who are big dreamers, they're real on multiple levels. So I like to say that you have your prophetic dreams, you have your initiation dreams, you have dreams that are there to show you a message, and you have dreams that are subconscious, like kind of tell you what's going on in your inner world on display as a movie. You have the relational dreams. Like if I just watch Game of Thrones and then I dream that I'm, on riding on a horse in a war, I know that's just in relation to what was just recently in my consciousness, But through those dreams that I've had, I've seen a lot of them come to pass. Like the next day, after a few months, they just all come to be. So I know that they're real in the sense of it's a way that spirit can channel and speak to you so that you can get messages for the here and now and for the future and have clarity about things from the past as well. So I definitely encourage people to, like, if you are a dreamer, to, journal your dreams and build up this relationship of your intuitive muscle with your dream. I've traveled to many different worlds. I've gone through initiations in my dreams as well. I've done healing work in my dream through doing dream yoga and lucid dreaming. It's like you have this vehicle and then you have your soul, your astral body can travel and it can go to different dimensions and spaces, and the dream realm is one. And in that, like the Tibetans, they say we don't sleep, we rest. And in that rest, there's still work to be done with the astral body, right? And then when the astral body's fully back into the body, it can actualize those things that it's gained along the way. So to your question, dreams is definitely real. They're like a big nugget.
So what was the most profound dream that you had that came to pass?
Oh, wow. I can't even, that's a lot because it's so many. It's so many. I dreamt about the Twin Towers when I was a kid. So that's probably one of the things that were more pivotal for me to know, like, wow, like I just dreamt something and it happened, and I was mad young. Like, what does that mean that I had a prophecy, I think I was like in the 6th grade when that happened. But even before that, I remember dreams when I was 7 that came to pass. So, yeah, there's just too many. I'm one of those people that dream probably almost every night. So it's like I'm living in two different worlds.
Right.
But probably some of the most profound dreams is meeting my spirit guides and going through initiations and casting out somebody that came along my path when I was a child that did some very violent hurt to me and other people, and doing the work to heal myself in the dream by facing him in the dream. And I think that was like probably one of the most profound, because that hold that experience had on my life, like, didn't really get the chance to heal until that dream happened. So, yeah.
Okay. And when we talk about dreams, I feel like there's an association with dreams to imagination. Like there's something very parallel and close to those two, right?
Yeah.
Because we can use our minds to imagine and to visualize and to see things that don't exist right now in our physical world, right? But the same thing is happening with a dream, right? So I don't know, that just popped up.
Because it is not operating in the same laws, when
Yes.
you're in the dream realm.
And they both could be real, because you can envision something and it can still come to real life,
Right.
So wow, that's beautiful. And it's a gift, right?
Yes.
What are some of the cons or the things that scare you about dreams, right? Because yes, you can have profound experiences and you can overcome things, but sometimes dreams are scary. We have nightmares.
Yeah.
So do you have any dreams that scare you, that you feel like, oh man, could that come to pass?
Definitely. I've had dreams that were like that. I would call those warning dreams. Where they're trying to give you a message about how to move next. And I don't necessarily have nightmares. I just have dreams that are like oh snap, that just happened, like, or this is scary. But I'm not hurt in the dreams. I'm never like, nothing ever like actualizes thus far, It's just me running away or getting away or witnessing certain things, and then, coming back into this realm. So I would say not so much the con, because I love being a dreamer, but the challenge about dreams is that there is a point of decoding them and seeing like what all is trying to be revealed to you. And when things are close to you, like you have your own dreams and aspirations and your wants and your desires, and it's like your own human could kind of like add to like what the interpretation could be, or you might be a little uncertain because it's like what's happening in reality may not necessarily match up with what's going on in the dream. So I think that's more so the challenge. And then I dream for other people a lot of times. And I could not talk to a person for 10 years and dream about them and it'd be exactly what's going on in their life. And so it's also like a challenge that maybe it might not be the message they want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Or it might be a great message, but the challenge might be like, ooh, like this is kind of deep, you know?
Yeah. Wow. So we all have these gifts and we're all on a journey to understand them, uncover them. And I feel like this would be a good time to pivot to the retreats you host, right? Because you might have people that are interested to learn more about themselves. So I would say, what is the perfect person like that comes to your retreats? Like identify them. You get what I'm saying? Like who are the people that come to your retreats? What are they looking for? What are they wanting to discover?
There's the healer seekers, that are wanting to bring power to themselves, like take their power back, or if they have power, like what to do. If they have their power back, like what to do with that reclamation of power, how to move in that, how to show up differently in their life, how to sustain a level of a healing mindset, given the environments that they're constantly in that might be pulling them back into feeling certain ways. I get people that they just don't know. They feel stuck, and they're looking for some type of shaking to wake them back up or come into, back into their being. It's really it's the seekers of healing and truth that come.
Okay. And I also can see someone coming because they're in a place where they're on their journey, but the environment around them, the people they're around, their friends aren't on that same path.
Right.
And they want to come so they can be around like-minded people.
Absolutely. They're looking for their soul tribe. They're trying to find the tapestry where they best fit at.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, this is a perfect time for our health break. So I have you one of our most popular sea moss gels. This is a mango and papaya sea moss from Herb and Flow. So if you're someone that wants to take in more nutrients in your diet, if you want to bring in more minerals, sea moss is a really good way to help you with that. Okay. So Key's going to give us a taste test, right on the podcast. Okay, tell us what does she think about it.
Oh, now, papaya. I've been trying to build up my relationship with papaya now.
All right, so this gonna be a good test then. It's more mango-y than papaya, but papaya just add the extra layer.
Yeah, and it's really good for you. That parasite cleanser. That's actually really good. It actually tastes like a mango applesauce. That's good. Okay.
And that was your first time actually even trying my sea moss, so
okay, I can eat that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, ooh, papaya. I love you, girl. Yes. But papaya, but no, it's good.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so touching. And I also believe this will be a really good segue to talk about your vegan lifestyle, the transition. I'm not saying a vegan lifestyle is the healthiest way, but I believe that it's all about balance. It's all about what works best for you, right? To become healthy, you don't have, it's not just one way to do it.
Right.
Like you say, everybody's journey isn't just one way, right?
Yeah.
It's about moderation and making sure that, you know, you're feeding your body the things that your body needs. Because
Yeah.
your body tells you,
Yeah.
right? Like your body is literally letting you know, I like this or I don't like that.
Yeah.
And listening to it. So what provoked you to transition to a vegan lifestyle?
I watched me and my friends in college when we was 19, we watched a documentary called Earthlings. It was a group of friends. They were like, hey, come watch this documentary. And so we watched the documentary, and I was like, I had no idea about like the animal industry. It was mostly like the ethical sides of being vegan, and how the animal industry affects the planet, how the animals are treated, and just I really just saw that and was like, wow, like if that's the feelings that they're having, what am I ingesting? You know, like if I'm looking at everything as energy, like I'm seeing pigs like suffering and crying and wailing and banging their heads up against the walls and different things like that. And they're not living. They're not just living their own life. They're literally in servitude to somebody's plate. And that felt incongruent to what I wanted to put in my body because I was already like very spiritual at that moment, at that time. And so it was like energy was a big thing. And I was like, man, you know, you just eating a chicken that was banging his head against the wall because it couldn't live its life. You know,
Now you banging your head against the wall.
right. Now you feeling weird. Now you got all this anger and sadness and depression and don't know why, you know. And so it started off like that for me, more on the ethical side and environmental consciousness.
So what is it that's keeping you going? Because, you know, as you become vegan, you might try it out, you might feel the benefits, but sometimes, you know, we retract back to eating meat and stuff like that. So what is the motivating factor that's keeping you going through your journey?
Yeah, I would say the motivating factor came in when the ailments that I had went away. So I used to have fainting spells where I would just pass out, and there was plenty of times where I went to the hospital for that, and they couldn't figure out why I was passing out. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it was very painful. I was hospitalized for that as well. Also not knowing why these cysts were forming on my ovaries, and I had very bad PMS. So when I changed to plant-based, I had no idea that it was a health benefit, you know. But like maybe like after 3 months of being vegan, I was like, I haven't fainted. I done had a period and I don't feel mad or like my whole day is taken up. And I was like, and I've been pooping a whole lot. Like, I'm like, it was trying to, and I got on the internet, like, and that's how I learned about like the health benefits of eating a plant-based diet. And so I was like, that's what really anchored it, because living a life where you could just pass out at any time, that wasn't the move. You know, having that pain in my ovaries, I didn't want to live that no more. So if this was something that can give me a freedom and liberation from those ailments, I was with it all the way. And it's 16 years later. I've never reverted or, had any, it's like literally been cold turkey for 16 years.
Yes.
So.
Wow, that's really good. The idea of just taking it full throttle.
Yeah.
You know, but the most important thing that I want everyone out there to realize is she found her why.
Yeah.
She found the thing that anchored her,
Yeah.
and that grounded her decision making. Because if we don't have that power and that why within us, we can get swayed.
Yes.
When you go to your family cookout,
right.
you know, and you newly vegan and the turkey is smelling good, the mac and cheese is creamy, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to get tempted. But if
Yeah.
your why isn't strong enough,
Yeah.
then you're going to go back to eating that same food that caused those same elements, the same disease, the same fainting, and then you're going to go back to doing the exact same thing again. So
Yeah. I feel like that's for anything in life. When you are convicted and you have that strong will, then you become unwavering. You know, you have to understand and know why you're doing it. When we do things for other people or because it's a trend and stuff like that, we're more likely to be thrown off course.
That's very true. There's a break. Let me just turn this thing on.
Hi, and we're back.
Cool beans. We just go hot. Just covering up the W the whole time. Yeah, so finding your why is so important. And like you say, it can be, you can apply that same why to every area of your life and anchor yourself to what you believe in and not allowing society to sway you, right? Because it's very easy to be swayed these days. And that's why, and you can tell because we have an influencer. You know, we live in an influencer world where people are literally influencing us to make decisions.
Yeah, constantly.
Right? So that why is very important, everybody. So if you have a why, if you know your why, make sure you leave it in the comments. Let share it with us. You know, we would love to hear more about that. Yeah. So this conversation is so good. And if you're liking it, make sure you go ahead and subscribe. And your support is definitely appreciated. Oh, Akiyla. Key. No, so, you know, one thing that I really enjoy about our relationship is the ability to just, you know, okay, let me backtrack because when I first met Key, shout out to Hazel because he was the one that connected us. Sure. But literally we sat down for, I think it was 3 hours.
It might have been.
And we're just talking and talking, and conversation is going. And I'm like, wow, we're so connected in so many ways that, like, our saying is, you can't make this up.
That is our saying.
This is something you just can't make up because it's too divine. Yeah. It's too on time, right? And the thing I think that really, the thing that you were doing that really inspired me was homeschooling. And, you know, I homeschool my children. She does the same. But the level in which she was doing it, I'm like, yo, that's my dream way, right? Like, you know, setting up a school in your basement, having the tables, like a real school. And then you're cultivating a space for your friends and your family to bring their children, and you all are working together. I think that's every homeschooler's dream. Yeah. Right. So what encouraged you to go down the path of homeschooling your children?
It's when I had my baby girl, and I was like, I don't want somebody else to take care of you. Like, this is my job, you know? Like, it's the village's job, but I just felt like I wanted to be there for her. The idea of putting her in a daycare as a baby was just like, there was like the reality set in. I didn't think about homeschooling before I had her, you know? But once I had her, I was like, wow, I wanted to play an integral part in her life. And through that, it was like kind of realizing what kind of mother I wanted to be. You know, that more so came online too after she was born. And it was a mother that had a hand and guide in her development, her education, who she was as a person, and nurtured her as the individual. When we go to school, there's a lot of different benefits from going to school, but it's also on a mass level and not always on an individual level. And it's like that specific attention that I can give to my children was something that I didn't think that they would get all the way going to school, and I wanted to, support them in that. As time is going on, the kids are older now, have had a lot of different ways in which to do it, and people that are involved, and then, things shift and change, and you just got to be willing. Sometimes we're unschooling and it's no structure and we just letting life teach us, And other times they got, their online courses. Like now they have their online courses that they do like 2.5 hours a day. And so just the willingness to adapt and adjust. And I love being a part of their lives,
Yes.
Just right next to purpose, being a mom is right there. So it's like wanting to, just be a guide in a very deep way for them.
Yes, that's beautiful. I would encourage, I think, so the thing is homeschooling is a luxury. That's what I realized. Because no mother, I promise you, I don't care how much you enjoy your job, after you had that baby, no mother wants to drop their child off at the hospital. At the daycare.
Yeah.
Like, no mother.
Yeah.
We all had that same feeling. Like, dang, I gotta let my kid just go with these. No matter even the best of facility.
Yes.
The best of teachers. Yeah. Every woman has that feeling. Every mother has that feeling of, I really don't want to let my child go.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, most women do.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I'm so grateful for the opportunity to even have the ability to homeschool. Yeah. And I realized, like, this is a luxury. I get to be with my children all day.
Even when they driving us up the wall.
Right? I'm like, wait, is that a luxury? No. Some parents like, I need my break.
You do need a break.
You do need a break, but having that intricate, that time with your children, especially during their fundamental development years, is critical. So shout out to us for homeschooling, and shout out to all the other mothers who thought about it, wanted to do it, or is doing it,
Just being a mother, period, because it ain't easy no matter what route you take, I'm like, being a homeschooling mom and a business owner is the hardest thing I done chose to do in this lifetime, because it's a lot of work on both ends. It requires so much of you, you got to have a lot of mental, emotional, and spiritual endurance, stamina, and agility, and you got to be willing to sacrifice, because sometimes, to be a homeschool mom means that, you may not get to work as much as the next person. You may not get to do all the things as the next person, or things might take a little bit longer. You go to the store with your kids, well, a 15-minute excursion, a 15-minute trip turned into a 30-minute excursion. Everything gets...
Everything
drawn
gets
out.
Yes, adjusted. Like, I'm just trying to go here. I gotta stop, go to the bathroom. There's somebody hungry.
Exactly. You gotta don't touch this, don't ask for that. It's like, it's so many different layers to it, and whatever works best for you is kind of like what I encourage. I don't expect that everybody can and will homeschool, because you do also have to have a lot of patience. I'm a very patient person, but even I be like, "Whoo, okay, I'm gonna have to step away for a second."
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
So.
Yeah. Also, it's beautiful though.
It's very beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. So what are some of the ways that you can help a mother who's, let's just say, there's a mother. She wants to play an active role in her child's development, but she still works a 9 to 5, and she still got to come home and cook dinner, and she really don't have enough time. I'm gonna put time in air quotes because time is relative, right? So what's one piece of advice you can share to that mother who wants to, be a part of that development of their child?
The mothers that I know who are amazing moms, who their kids go to school, they make intentional time. They make family time like a requirement, but like as a part of their liberty. They're going to sit down and eat dinner together, and they're going to phones down, let's communicate, let's talk. Weekends is set for them to spend time with one another. They might wake up early and pray together, or meditate together. They're going to go on family trips. So it's really just about that intentional time and making it that intentional time priority, and not allowing, because it can happen, but not allowing stress and the feeling of being overworked by having to work rob you of that intentional time, So the moms that I know, that's what they do, and they have really beautiful relationships with their children. They know them inside and out, and even though they can't homeschool, even if they wanted to, even when they want to, they make that a priority. Sometimes people, it's what you're going to do with your time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so they're like, no, my kids get that time. If that means I'm not going out to the club with my friends anymore, or I'm not doing certain things, or I can't come unless my kids can come type of energy, and they stick to that, and that allows them to have that close relationship and still be powerful guide in their life.
Yes. And nowadays, too, parenting is and can be easier to dodge. Okay? Yeah. Seriously, when I say that, it's because we have technology. It's easier if your kid is having a tantrum. It's easy if your child is, the parent need a piece of quiet time. It's easy just to throw that kid in front of a TV or here, play with the tablet. So what are some of the constraints that you have around screen time with your children?
When everything is locked and loaded, none on the weekday. They get to have it on the weekend. Sometimes when I'm extremely busy, I might, be a little bit more loose with that. Just in understanding where life is right now, and I might need to get things done, and I know that if they don't have something to entertain them, I'm not going to be able to get it done. And so that might be a mini sacrifice in the moment, or the compromise in the moment. But when everything is, I'm not super busy and stuff like that, and everything is in alignment, for the most part, I would say about 90, maybe 80% of the time, it's always, there's no screen time during the week.
Okay. That's something that I implement when I need some time to myself, or I'm trying to focus on work. One of the things I do with my children is I'll give them their tablet, but it's like, okay, you have to do something interactive.
Yeah.
I don't want you just sitting there and just looking at the screen. Play with the screen at least, like play a learning game or something like that still keep you activated.
Yeah.
And not just stimulated. That was a bar.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Okay.
That was a bar.
Okay, bars.
Okay. So that helps me. And with my peace of mind, because I have seen the difference in how television can play a part on my children's behavior. Like, I always tell my children, and they're 4 and 5, that if I turn this TV off and y'all start crying, and that means you can't handle it. You're not ready for it right now, because you should be able to turn the TV off and be okay with that, and just even say thank you for allowing us to watch TV.
Yeah.
Just being grateful for doing it, and then you move on. Let's do something else. But if you're throwing a temper tantrum because the TV is off, or I take your tablet away, that just means we got a little bit more work to do, and that we gotta take it back a step and reintroduce it again slowly, because the TV is not the same. These shows are not the same anymore. A lot of it with the loud noise and the colors and all of the activity happening, it's like your child is a zombie.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
for sure.
Like, for real, and that's a test for all parents. If you can test to see if your child, one test for parents is when your child is watching TV, call their name, ask them a question. If they respond, that means this is a good TV show. If they do not respond and they cannot hear you, pick a different TV show, because they're in a trance. that means that TV show is not good for them. So that's my test that I do. Like, if I can call your name and ask you some questions during your show, you're not in a trance. So
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have any advice or anything like that you would like to share?
I think that was some really good advice. And just making sure they take breaks, you know, make sure they get to go outside. My boys, my daughter, she's in the preteen age now, so it's like the outside is like she just want to be to herself. But even still, she has to get outside too. But just making sure that they interact with the real world, so they don't get so consumed with this digital world.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Man, Key, you're so amazing.
You too,
That like
sis.
I think we're about to go into part 2, y'all, because I got something so exciting to share. So what's really cool is the first day, you know, me and Key met. As I said, we had this 3-hour conversation, and I don't know if she brought it up first or I brought it up first, but I'm like, man, I really want to do ayahuasca. And we both agreed, and we were both on the same page, right? And I have been in a space where I only want to do things with people that would have, I only want to do things with people that would have done it by themselves. So with Key already being in her own space, in her own world, dreaming of doing ayahuasca, planning to do ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And then here comes me on the same vibe. I'm like, it only makes sense
Yeah.
that we go together.
Yeah.
You know? And I sent her over the retreat I was looking at. And
Yeah.
she like, no, that's the exact same
The
one.
exact same one. I'm like, what? You can't make this up.
You cannot make this up, right?
Right.
So, y'all, we went to Ecuador.
Yes,
We went to South America.
Mm-hmm.
We drove 5 hours through the Amazon
Woo!
rainforest
Yeah, we did.
to do ayahuasca.
Yes.
So you know, so many of my followers and people I know, family and friends, have been asking, like, what did you get from it? And I just want to talk about our ayahuasca journey.
Yes.
Because, wow,
Yeah.
it's about to get real spicy.